Azerbaijan, the statement was really interesting because it was basically we want to support the Palestinian people and the Palestinian state, but we are seriously concerned.
And you hit on something earlier that's very important, that there have not been clear rules of engagement ironed out about what the ISF is actually going to do and how the ISF is going to actually maintain peace.
Hey, 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 welcome to On the Fringe. I'm Gavin, and I'm here with my good friend Dave. Say hello to the folks, Dave.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Well, Dave, it finally happened.
What? What happened,
The
Gavin?
first inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace.
Wow. I thought you
Uh,
were gonna say it was like the first time that you got out of your place in the last like 6 months.
no, I actually been doing that more, which is really good
That is
for
good.
everyone's mental health.
That is good.
So,
Including your own.
I mean, I have to really I have to focus on myself and occasionally other people, kind of like the Board of Peace. So, the Board of Peace met on the 19th of February in Washington, D.C. Two new members joined on, Bulgaria and Hungary. That wasn't really the main headline story. The main headline story is that, on paper, anyways, the organization is moving towards an actual ISF, or International Stabilization Force. Now, we've talked about this before on the pod, haven't we, Dave?
Yeah, we have. We have talked about this. We did an episode about the Board of Peace, about the structure earlier in this season. Go ahead and throw
Hmm.
that in the podcast description so you guys can listen to that. But one of the things that we mentioned in that earlier episode is that it's going to come down to actually getting funding. And from this meeting, you have countries committing funding to the Board of Peace. And just to go through this real quick, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, the UAE, Morocco, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, and Kuwait are going to be contributing 7 billion, and the US is also going to be contributing about $10 billion.
So yeah, so again, on paper, this is not a, minor concession. This is 17 billion US dollars. That's a lot of money.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what actually gets contributed. Again, there was a lot of discussion about banking. Ironically, JP Morgan seems to be involved as a possible primary vendor for these funds. We'll see.
Sure,
Yeah,
Jamie Dimon is probably smiling all the way to the bank.
well, as long as Jamie Dimon's just getting mentioned for this and not other things, I think he's having a pretty good day.
I think so too.
And that's all I'm gonna say about that. So,
Don't close my accounts
uh,
like
don't
other people's.
don't close anyone's accounts. And if my name shows up in the file, it's because someone else put it in an email. It seems to be what people are hoping for these days.
Anyway,
They were just emailing about me. That's all it was. On a more serious note, again, the ISF. So far, we have five countries that have confirmed participation, have confirmed putting troops on the ground, have said they will contribute armed forces in one degree or another. Those five countries are Indonesia, Morocco, Albania, Kosovo, and Kazakhstan. This is an interesting group, um,
yes, to say the least.
to say the least. They're all from Muslim majority countries, or they all are Muslim majority countries, but incredibly, I would say, religiously, culturally, linguistically, as diverse a group of countries as you could find. Albania and Kosovo are not, but they're kind of exceptional. The other three are as different as you could find anywhere in Eurasia or Africa. and again, don't really have that much in common.
I mean, the common factor that's holding this together, I think, is all of these countries want to help the Palestinians.
Or I think want to be seen helping. I think the motivations are maybe a little more complex for Kosovo and Albania, particularly Kosovo.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think generally there is a genuine desire to help the Palestinian people on some level, or at least to be seen helping them. But I also think, it's very instructive who is not sending people. None of the Gulf states. Egypt and Jordan are committed to training police. We'll get back to that in a second, but they're not sending anyone in. Um,
And then one of the big players or players that you thought was going to be sending troops in, Azerbaijan, decided not to.
Turkey's also said no. Azerbaijan, the statement was really interesting because it was basically we want to support the Palestinian people and a Palestinian state, but we are seriously concerned that we would be sending Azeri troops into a unknown situation. And this is a very genuine concern.
Hmm.
They also, which they didn't mention in the statement, I think for obvious reasons, Azerbaijan was sort of seen as a catch for this force because they have a large, intimidating military machine. They also have a fairly close relationship with the state of Israel. And rhetorically, they have made statements that are more pro-Palestinian than pro-Israeli, but they're very close ties with the state of Israel. And they were seen as possible mediators. And I think they sort of weighed their options and realized that might not be enough to protect their troops if they go in and it's still an active combat zone, which it is right now. Combat in the Gaza Strip has not ceased. Israeli strikes have not ceased. It's an active theater, and it needs to basically calm down significantly before you're sending people in a peacekeeping role. And there are just no guarantees at the moment. To pivot slightly, to just talk about Indonesia for five
Well,
seconds.
I was going to say before we do that, let's go back. And you hit on something earlier that's very important, that there have not been clear rules of engagement ironed out about what the ISF is actually going to do and how the ISF is going to actually maintain peace.
Yes.
And if there is a flare up between the Israelis and Hamas, then what is the ISF actually going to do? And are they going to be stuck in a crossfire? And that's
Or
really what this is coming down to is you have this multinational group that's going to be sending troops in, but what are they actually going to be able to do, and how are they going to be able to do that?
I
That's the
mean,
next big step.
I think beyond that, if civilians are attacked and the Israelis go on a bombing run or shell a house or blow up a house or attack civilians in any way, shape, or form, what can the ISF meaningfully do? And if you don't have clear rules of engagement and there is a retaliation, the Israelis will respond with force. And I think this may have been what the Azeris were alluding to in their statement. They don't want to put their troops in a situation where they're going to be in active conflict with the Israelis. And that's where the rules of engagement come in, because you need to make sure that they are going to be able to offer stability. If they can't do that, there's really no point in having them there.
Right.
And you worry about coordination, right? So just like to bring in Indonesia for 5 seconds, Indonesia has been at the head of the pack. They've been really pushing to send troops to any kind of peacekeeping force. Palestine's a very big issue in Indonesia. I mean, as it is globally. They have been very gung-ho about this, about protecting the Palestinian people.
And just to add real quick, one of the
Mm,
reasons that I think Indonesia actually joined the Board of Peace is to participate in the reconstruction of Gaza.
absolutely. I think that was 99% of the reason, kind of at the bare minimum. Again, you mentioned this in the last conversation we had about it. Palestine was the first state to recognize Indonesia.
Yeah,
This is a relationship that goes back very far. It's very close. Again, it's a very powerful issue. I think people generally underestimate how powerful an issue it is for Indonesians. It's just a very big emotive issue. Again, as in many parts of the world, but because Indonesia's rather far away, I think people don't realize how big of a deal it is.
yeah.
So this is a big part of why they're involved at all. They've already come out, and I think a couple weeks back, the number was floated 8,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
8,000
8,000 is what they've said
is
they're
what they've
willing
said.
to actually deploy to
But I
Gaza.
think I think what should give people pause is that's the only number we've gotten. The only other number I've heard is there are plans for a military base in the middle of Gaza to house 5,000 ISF troops. We're still really unclear. The Board of Peace has not issued really any meaningful numbers. We don't know what they're looking at in terms of a deployment. We still don't know what the percentage is. I think at this point, people are assuming originally, again, as we've said at the beginning, originally the idea was it was going to be mostly Indonesian and Azeri. You now have Albania, Kosovo, Morocco, and Kazakhstan. I'm actually going to I'm gonna get out my lucky dice, make a little bet.
Did they
I'm
have
gonna
your name on them?
it just Gavin. Um, Gavin and Lucky. Uh, it's I think Morocco won't actually send military personnel. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to get backlash at home. I think if they do send anyone, it's going to be a small group, probably of medical personnel. I don't think they're going to send very many people if they send anyone. I wouldn't be shocked if Kazakhstan is similar. I don't think Kazakhstan will send very many people. I think Kosovo and Albania can't. Their armed forces aren't that big. To be blunt, they're just not. They have very tiny armed forces. They're not very big countries. Kosovo's just over 1 million people. Albania's, I think, over 3 million people, but they're very small. They can't send, and they have small armed forces, or in Albania's case, they have a small armed force for a country of their size. They're not going to send very many people. Um, I think
Yeah.
the majority, if there is a force, the majority are going to be Indonesian. And I think it should give people pause at this stage that there's no sort of messaging about what is the remit of this force.
Yeah. I mean that's I think what it's going to come down to
Yeah.
based on your analysis here that if you have 8,000 Indonesian troops that the Indonesian government's going to send over there, and you have a base for 5,000, okay, the vast majority of those troops are going to be Indonesian. And you're going to have maybe a couple of Albanian or of troops from
Kosovo.
Kosovo, yeah. But it's going to be largely Indonesia leading the
Yeah.
pack with this. And
Again,
you can
as they
look at it and
have
go,
pretty much the whole time.
you can look at it and go, this is Indonesia's moment for
Hmm.
better or for worse. Because the domestic audience in Indonesia is going to be looking at what Prabowo and what the Indonesian government do with this. And if this turns out very well, you have some domestic issues in Indonesia. I think potentially helping the Palestinians and rebuilding Gaza would make Prabowo a true hero for Indonesians. But I
And
think
there
at the same
is,
time,
no, go
if this
ahead.
fails, it could be a huge disaster for them. It's a
Hmm.
huge risk that Indonesia would be taking if they do send this many troops, and they're the largest contributor to the ISF. But I think they're willing to take that risk.
I think they are. And, I wish them the best of luck. And I just hope that that situation does get stabilized and just gets better for the civilians very soon. But we'll see. We're very much going to be keeping our eye on the situation and on the Board of Peace and all the wacky shenanigans they get up to here on the Fringe.
That we
If
will.
you that we will. If you have enjoyed this and enjoyed other episodes, please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any feedback, please send it in. We'd appreciate any feedback at all. And thank you so much for listening, and thank you for being a part of our On the Fringe community.
We appreciate it. And now it's time to hit the button. Thank you guys for listening.